Welcome to episode 13. Today we are reading the poem American Cheese by Jim Daniels. So I picked this poem. John has not seen it before. You'll have to excuse me. I'm a little under the weather here this week when I read this. So here we go. American Cheese. At department parties, I eat cheeses my parents never heard of. Gooey, pale cheeses speaking garbled tongues. I have acquired a taste, yes, and that's okay, I tell myself. I grew up in a house shaded by the factories Clank and Clamor. A house built like a square of 64 American singles, the ones my mother made lunches with, for the hungry man who disappeared into that factory and 5 hungry kids. American singles, yellow mustard, day-old Wonder Bread, not even Swiss with its mysterious holes. We were sparrows and starlings, still learning how the blue jay stole our eggs, our nest eggs. 64 singles wrapped in wax. Dig your nails in to separate them. When I come home, I crave, more than any home cooking, those thin slices in the fridge. I fold one in half, drop it in my mouth. My mother can't understand, doesn't remember me being a cheese eater, plain like that. Okay, so I picked this poem, number one, because of the title. I thought, American cheese, that's, I've always been fascinated by the fact that craft singles are labeled cheese food. It's not even cheese. I don't know what that means, but but I think it's more than that. I think it's really about memories. It's about childhood. It's about longing for the past. The line, fourth down, where he says, I've acquired a taste, yes, and that's okay, I tell myself. It's almost like a weird obsessiveness he has with the past and this American cheese, and the fact that he's eating these new cheeses is kind of scandalous and weird to him for some reason. He talks about his house being made of cheese back in the day. And the last stanza really hit me, where he says, when I come home, I crave more than any home cooking those thin slices. So it's not, a craving to me is something you can't control, right? He has to have it. It's it's obsession. He has to have the cheese. And then when his mother says she doesn't remember him being a cheese eater, plain like that, I don't know, I think that speaks volumes about his relationship with his mother, that she doesn't seem to know him very well, or at least his old grown-up self very well, and the cheese represents that kind of, he needs that, I don't know, something is not there that he needs, he's trying to find through the cheese slice.
Right.
So what did you think, John?
Well, similar to what you thought, the whole department party thing, I instantly thought of. I guess part of what I'm seeing now is, he says, I latched onto the same line you did about line 4. I have acquired a taste, yes, and that's okay. This whole idea of he says he's going to a department party, which suggests he's maybe an academic, right? He's in a college, maybe a professor, and he is very educated, but then his father was a factory worker. So it's interesting, right? There's that class distinction where now the son is not in the same job as his father, which I think is a pretty common thing these days, right? Like I grew up, my father was a factory worker, and now I'm a teacher. So it's kind of similar here.
Yeah, different.
Oddly enough, different
existences almost.
Yeah, and then so that the cheese becomes kind of a connection for him, not only to his mother at the end, but also maybe to his father, because the father disappears in the second half of the poem, so maybe the father's passed away, right? Because the mother is still there, and she can't understand why he would want American cheese when he could have fancy cheese. That's how I read it.
Yeah, he's got the American dream. He went beyond his parents, and she doesn't understand, like, why would you eat the stuff we ate growing up?
Right.
You should go for the good stuff now that you can get it.
Right.
And that's not where he is.
Right.
In his life. Yeah, and the father, maybe he didn't have that relationship with the dad because he disappeared and worked all the time.
Right.
And he wasn't around. So, yeah, that's an interesting...
And then I really liked the tactile imagery in the end of the first stanza, which is 64 singles wrapped in wax, dig your nails in to separate them. And I totally could feel when all the cheeses cram together and you do have to use your nails to kind of pull the cheese apart. So I thought that was a nice touch.
Yeah, sensory image. Nice touch. Hey, no pun intended.
There you go.
Whoa,
there you go.
All right, so my question for this poem is, for this author, this slice of cheese takes him back to the past. Is there some sensory, a smell, a taste, that just takes you right back to your childhood, and what is that?
All right, so we're going to continue our little segment here at the end of the show where we represent some books or some things that we found that are of interest. And I have the National Book Award for 2016 Poetry winner. This is The Performance of Becoming Human by Daniel Borzatsky. And it is bleak.
And it's dark.
It is sort of like you were saying, Cormac McCarthy's The Road in poetry form. I mean, that book is almost in poetry form as it is. But this one takes it, I would say, even further. This is a very, very dark read, but it is poetry. So you do get that. It's not, I mean, it's depressing. It's horrifying. But there is that element of language that somehow lifts it up. So it's not a slog to read. Does that make sense? Yeah, it is a powerful read, but not for the faint of heart. Thanks for watching. Please join the conversation in the comments on YouTube or on Twitter at Trojan Poetry DGN. Also check out our website at trojanpoetrydgn.blogspot.com.